and that was with all the dead notes from the string below. All right, the first example had all the dead notes from the note in the string you're on. And this third one, you use the dead notes from upper strings. Etc. I got my first bass when I was 13, and the first thing I did, since I didn't have a teacher, was put 1, 2, 3 down on the strings, and then my thumb on the 4th string. And so from day one, I've been playing with 3 fingers. I use mostly 1 and 2 for most everything I do. I have 2 positions. One is an open position like this. 1, 2, and 3 are spread out. And then a closed position where 1 and 2 are on the same string. This closed position is mostly for linear type, one note next to the other type playing. And this position right here is more for stationary harmonies, funk, whatever, where I need to play octaves and sevenths and more string crossings. When I do string crossings, 2 and 3 work together up on top, and then 1 and 2 work down together below. This is mostly closed position, the linear type playing. All right, 1 and 2 do most of the work. And this is the open position for like a stationary harmony funk type deal. One of the things you probably noticed already is that I do a lot of right-hand dampening. Early on, when I was playing, I noticed these problems with left-hand dampening that crop up. When you dampen with the left hand, that's a real slow version of it. You get that buzz at the end of every note. If you dampen quickly, sometimes you can get rid of it. That's not too bad. But I worked real hard on assigning the dampening to the right hand to try to alleviate those problems. One thing I found is that if you use rest strokes along with right hand dampening, 4 things that are good happen. The first thing, obviously, is that you don't get that fret buzz with the note. All right. All right. The second thing is that if you dampen with the right hand, your left hand is freer to execute more. All right. Along with the right hand dampening, if you use rest stroke, which is following through into the next string, all right, you end up with a finger on a string ready to go, ready to play. All right, and the fourth thing is the difference in sound when you use a rest stroke or not. This is a note played following through up into the air, and I'm playing pretty hard. All right, and now I'm not going to play nearly as hard, but I'm going to use a rest stroke and land my finger on the next string below. And you can hear that extra little thump of the finger landing on a lower string that adds to the attack. A good exercise you can use to start working on this right-hand dampening technique involves no left hand. You set up 1, 2, 3 on the A, D, and G string in this open position, and just alternate 2 Gs and 2 As. And you play a G, dampen with the second finger. All right. Now it's ready to play because it just got through dampening. Play again, dampen with the third finger. You're back in open position. All right. Play an A, dampen with the second finger. All right. It's ready to play. Play, dampen with the first finger and reset. Okay. All right. What you want to do is make this exercise sound something like this. You want to go really slow. All right. The reason to work this exercise that slow is that you want to teach your right hand to relax in between notes. All right. So the longer between notes, as long as you're dampening and have kind of a feel for where the strings are, the more you can condition your hand to relax while it's playing. One thing I found about this exercise, and when you're trying to teach your right hand these real fine controlled movements, is to not go for cranking up the metronome right away and go for speed. Since you're dampening, you're already prepared for the next note. So the thing to do is just to work on dynamics. All right. If you train your hand to do something that's more difficult than it's going to be naturally asked to do, then when you go to play regularly, your mind will think that it's easy. All right. So you give it a harder challenge than it's normally going to get. So dynamics will achieve that. I try to make it sound like this: alternate loud and soft at first. And make sure, and not to try to overemphasize the loud note, try to make that kind of medium and really exaggerate the softness of intensity on the softer notes. And then try playing soft loud. Okay. Since you're prepared for the next note, if you play this exercise playing with the notes very short, I'm ready to play the second note of this exercise right now. All right. Once again, now. Okay. So if I just want to play faster, all I've got to do is cut down the amount of time my hand is sitting there waiting to play. So if you give us this challenge of accents and play with short notes, after working maybe 10 or 15, well, maybe not that long, maybe 10 minutes on this exercise, and then you just test yourself by trying to play it fast, you'll find that you'll have gotten to a point faster than if you just gradually tried to crank up the metronome. Here's a major scale exercise for the right hand. You'll see the fingering in your booklet. You dampen each note as you play it. The fingering, the dampen's written out for you. I added the D to the scale so that eventually, once you get it into up to tempo, you can play it in 4/4. All right. Okay. You'll see that my right hand's doing all the dampening. That means that you're preparing for the next note, and you can see in the fingering chart that by dampening and doing this placement that you are preparing yourself for the notes. One thing you'll notice about the exercise is that the first three notes, the fingering, all right, is outlined or highlighted so that for the next three notes you use the exact same fingering. So if you practice the first three notes, play with 1, dampen with 2, play with 2, dampen with the thumb. The third finger is already there, ready to go. You play with the third note, dampen with the first finger, and then reset everything, all right, before you begin to play the next note. You're set up for the next 6 notes or something like that. That fingering imitates itself ascending. Descending, I exclusively just use 1 and 2, and the third finger trails in behind and dampens. All right, so in this closed position, the third finger is always on an upper string, ready to play the first note to allow me to shift into the next higher notes. You notice at the end of the scale, you end up crossed up starting with 2. But all you have to do is just interchange those for the first 2 notes and you're back on track. Here's 4 right-hand exercises that involve the left hand. And if you get all of them under your fingers, you'll end up covering just about every kind of shift